get straight to it. Didn't mean to do that. But here we are. Hey guys, welcome. Let's talk crypto. Look, there's a lot happening in the market. Even though Bitcoin has been a little bit muted, Ethereum has also been a little bit muted as well. There's a lot actually happening. As you can see there, Wall Street moving on chain. We've got a lot of stuff happening in the stablecoin space this week. Got a lot of stuff happening in the UK regulatory environment. So let's just jump straight into it. Let's go. All right. How is everybody going? How's everybody enjoying the run-up to Christmas? That's going to be our last show of the year. And look, I just want to start by just saying that the market has been really quiet. And even I've just noticed in my conversations, people just not really seem to be too interested in crypto at the moment. And I can understand it. But this week in particular, there's been a lot happening. Super low sound. There we go. How's that, guys? Still just getting used to the toys here. So just bear with me. Just let me know. Just give me a thumbs up if we are good on the sound. Look, I just want to start off. I want to share my screen. Let me just go to, this is what I want to have a look at. Share that tab. All right, this is what I want to start off with, guys. This is the largest financial institution in the world, and they processed more than $3.6 quadrillion of volumes in 2024. So let me just say that again. 3.6 quadrillion, not a billion, not a trillion, quadrillion. And they just got authorization from the SEC about a week ago to enable them to bring their assets on chain. So people aren't really talking about this, right? People aren't really talking about this, and it's not sexy. It's a little bit boring because it's just infrastructure, right? It's not a meme coin, but this is actually the plumbing that's really going to change the world. I said last week, Larry Fink, the CEO of the largest asset manager in the world, said that tokenization, bringing real world assets like stocks, commodities, money markets on chain, is going to have a bigger impact on the global economy than artificial intelligence. And so now we're starting to see the early stages of that. We're starting to see the DTCC is now got approval from the SEC. We've seen JP Morgan as well this week launching their very own money market fund on chain. They're seeding it with $100 million. And so again, even though Bitcoin's been a little bit muted and the price action is really sleepy heading into the end of the year, there's a lot of exciting stuff happening. So we've got the tokenization happening. Now, did anybody catch what happened with the Coinbase announcement? Coinbase did this big announcement. They were hyping it up for weeks and weeks, saying, you got to watch out for December the 17th. We got around, they did this big announcement, and my God, did they just fulfill on all their promises. They're introducing stock trading. They're introducing prediction markets. They're introducing Coinbase Business, so they're allowing stablecoins to be used in businesses. And so I think that Coinbase is going to $1,000 this decade. I think it's going to happen. I think there's a $1,000 thesis in Coinbase where you have a look at all these other exchanges, right? You have a look at Binance, and these guys are just, the market is still recovering from Binance's mess that they created on October the 10th. October the 10th really changed crypto, where Binance absolutely just mucked up, and there's probably some large players that are still got big raises, and I think that's a big reason why crypto is performing the way that the way that it is. And I'll show you why. Let's share this tab. Let's go have a look at some charts. So here we are looking at Bitcoin. So here we got Bitcoin. I want to overlay the US stock market. When did these diverge? When did these diverge? Let's just move that to a new pane. Just make this chart look nice. When did these two diverge? They've been trading basically tick for tick, but something happened right around there. And right around there, that's when Bitcoin started going down, and that's when stocks just continue doing what they're doing. Something happened around there, and let me tell you what happened is Binance absolutely messed up. A whole bunch of people got liquidated. They coded their exchange wrong, and now we're just seeing the flow-on effects from that. So the market's still stabilizing. But what I want to look at is what's actually happening underneath the surface. And again, JP Morgan, the largest investment bank in the world, launching their very first on-chain money market fund. You're having the SEC completely clearing and allowing tokenization to happen. So in other words, bringing stocks, commodities, money markets on-chain. So there's going to be a handful of winners. And these are going to be winners that are just going to define the next few years in crypto. I was talking to the higher ups. I was like, you know, I think there's a cryptocurrency that I think is going to 10x by mid 2027. I was like, can I share the name? Can I share the name? And they said, no, just reserve that one for your paid subscribers. So I wish that I could share that name with you, but there is one particular cryptocurrency, one particular network that I think will 10x by mid 2027, because it's the one that's really just leading this entire race right now. It's already processing trillions for institutions. So there's going to be a handful of major winners. And let me just say that crypto, even though it's a little bit sleepy right now, there is a tremendous amount of opportunity forming because it's sleepy, but you just need to know how to navigate that. Louis, what about the OG selling pressure in BTC? Yeah, exactly. Neil, that's contributing to it. So what Neil's talking about is there's a lot of old wallets. So there's a lot of old investors in Bitcoin that have been in this market for years and years and years. And right now they're just beginning to sell their Bitcoin down. And so again, I mean, kudos to them, right? They've been holding for years and years, and now they're finally taking a little bit of profits. I think it's well deserved. But I think even though you're having some of the OGs selling, I think that's really symbolic, where you're having these OG guys that bought into Bitcoin early, back in the early days, and now who are the people that are taking the baton and they're moving the asset class forward. It's big banks, it's institutions, stuff like entities like Coinbase. These are the entities and the organizations that are really moving crypto forward. I want to pull that up because I just cannot emphasize just how important this whole update is with Coinbase. Like, these guys are just killing it. The Bitcoin 4-year cycle is alive and well. I could not disagree with you more. I think the 4-year cycle in Bitcoin is absolutely nonsense. I could not disagree with you more right there. Hey Louis, which Ethereum L2 protocol has the most promise? I don't like the L2s. I don't like investing in the L2s, and I'll tell you why. Because even if the layer 2s get a lot of adoption, the effects, the positive effects of their technology don't flow through to the cryptocurrencies, the layer 2 cryptocurrencies themselves. They flow to Ethereum. So I think Ethereum is the best way to play the layer 2 trade, because buying stuff like Optimism and ZK Sync and all these cryptocurrencies, they're good technologies, but bad investments. Could Bitcoin have a run as gold? Could Bitcoin have run as gold as a means to protect money dilution? I think it's part of it. There's this whole narrative that it's a debasement hedge. I don't necessarily buy into that, but I think there's absolutely interest for that. What about the impact of the Bank of Japan interest rate hike on BTC? I don't really know. I don't really care. The trend right now is a little bit messy, and the market's already priced it in. I don't really know. 16-year cycle, aggressive, very, very aggressive. But I mean, look, if this whole tokenization thing is really going to pop off, then I think it's 2026. All I'm going to say is 2026 looks fantastic right now. The rubber band has been stretched because Bitcoin is down in 2025 with stocks doing what they're doing, but you're seeing money finally getting on chain in a meaningful way. The SEC giving the big green light. Stablecoins really beginning to get a bit more traction. I think 2026 is going to be a rock star year, and it's going to completely blow that 4-year cycle narrative out of the water. Though you're doing great. You're Doing great. Thanks, Rachel. Much appreciated. All right, let's talk about Coinbase. So, system update, the future of finance is on Coinbase. Look, guys, this includes the rollout of stock trading. You can trade stocks on Coinbase. How crazy is that? And this is what's happening to all of these crypto exchanges, all these crypto protocols. You can trade next to your Filecoin and your Pepe the frog. You can trade stocks. How awesome is that? And then also tokenization. Everybody's talking about tokenization. So if you're not invested in a way that's going to if you're not invested in a way where you're going to reap the rewards of tokenization in the next few years, I don't know what you're doing. I think you need to get your head checked. This is probably one of the biggest mega themes right now in all of markets. I'm waiting for Dave Portnoy to cry uncle so I can go max long. History indicates that Bitcoin can drop 20 to 30% after the Bank of Japan interest rate hikes. It happened twice before. N equals 2. Very small sample size, but I understand what you mean. It's just not something that I watch. Yeah, not something I watch. Prediction markets, and this is really interesting. This whole prediction markets thing is people don't really trade. I mean, I'd say that 1% of people trade prediction markets, but the other 99% view prediction markets as this alternative to mainstream media. Because why would you need to go on watching the evening news when you could just pull up Polymarket or now Coinbase and see, okay, well, there's a 60% odds that this is going to happen. You can get it there because the market is already pricing all that in. And so I think this is bearish for mainstream media. It's bullish for Coinbase. Will Robinhood do this as well? Everybody's doing it. Where there's money to be made, they're gonna do it. Like, if you want to ask whether something's going to happen, you look at the incentives. And the incentives for these companies is that they can make a shitload of money by introducing these new features. Prediction markets, 24-hour trading. Everybody's crying about 24-hour trading. I get it. It's going to be terrible for your sleep. It's going to be terrible for your anxiety. But at least it's going to make the asset managers a whole lot of money. So we can take solace in that. Am I right? Is ETH the best play on tokenization? Most of that is happening on ETH. I disagree. I think there's another one that people aren't talking about. I don't think ETH is the best play at all for tokenization because there's two big issues with Ethereum. One, if you build a system on Ethereum, you inherit the governance and privacy of Ethereum. So that's not good for banks because you don't want transactions to be tracked down. You don't want to see the balance of banks, particular balances and money market funds, for instance. You don't want to see individuals' balances. It's not compliant. And then two, applications and systems built on Ethereum are competing against each other. That's not how the traditional financial system works. So Ethereum is not really fit for purpose when it comes to tokenization, but there is another one that I think is. Not Solana. I don't think it's Solana as well. They'll have a positive tailwind, but I don't think they're going to win. They've got better. They're better at providing value for other things, not tokenization. How about this as well? Coinbase introducing Solana DEX trading. Every cycle, it becomes easier and easier and easier to invest in crypto. And this is a great example because every time I think about how far crypto could go, I always think about my parents. Like, how can I get my parents onto crypto? And they're not going to open up wallets. They're not going to go into create a MetaMask wallet and go on chain. Like, why would they want to do that? So think about it this way. Like, the internet really took off in a meaningful way when internet browsers like Google Chrome hid the complexity of the internet. And right now, Coinbase is trying to do the same thing with crypto. They're trying to hide the complexity of crypto so that you're using crypto without knowing that you're using crypto. So if they can do this, they can bring all these assets that would only previously be able to be traded on chain. And instead, you can just press a button on an app on your phone and you can trade it. Then it's going to open up the market. And again, I think this is really bullish just for crypto, where you're going to have all of this new interest coming into the space for these particular ways that you can now invest in the market. Is gold likely to keep going up in 2026? I think so. Give us a hint about the 10x, bro. I would love to, mate. I would love to. The higher ups have just said no. Louis, I'm sorry. We need to reserve that one for the paid members. So I would love to, but I'm sorry. Take it up with them. Coinbase Business is here as well. Again, look, I think stablecoins. I feel like not enough emphasis is placed on stablecoins, because think about it this way. If you're an immigrant in New Zealand or Australia or the United States, and you've got family back in India or the Philippines, and you want to send them money via remittances, you're not going to go through Western Union anymore. You're not going to, pay an exorbitant fee. You're going to have a stable coin that just settles instantly as basically for free. So what I'm doing right now is just trying to understand, okay, what are the tokens? What are the crypto networks best positioned to take advantage of the stable coin trade? I think Ethereum is one. I think Solana is one. I think Tron is another. I want to talk a little bit about that a little bit later. What do you think about Ondo? I actually went through the process of creating an Ondo account last week, actually, because I was like, you know what, I'm really interested in Ondo and this whole tokenization thing. Let's create an account. And you had to go through this whole KYC, and they reached out to you with like investor relations emails and saying, hey, look, you need to answer these questions. It's not just creating a wallet and just going onto the Ondo platform and you could just buy NVIDIA. You need to go through this whole rigmarole. And so I'm invested in the Ondo US dollar yield fund. I mean, I'm only getting like 4% yield. I was only just doing that just to see how it actually works, but I like Ondo. I like it. I feel like it's more of a platform for crypto natives to get access to traditional markets rather than for traditional people to get access to crypto. And so I feel like the reach there is a little bit small, but I like the platform. I like it. All right. What do we want to talk about? I want to talk about stablecoins. That's what I want to talk about. I want to pull up a dashboard that I was looking at this week. It's got a lot of interesting numbers. Let me pull it up for you guys. Let's share this tab. This is the Visa website. I was a little bit surprised that Visa has so many statistics on stablecoins. Like, it's just almost a little bit overwhelming, just like how many numbers and charts of like all the different networks. You can go to transactions and you can see, the transactions of stablecoins, and for all the, let me scroll down, like for all the different types of stablecoins, the different types of networks that stablecoins are transacting on. Let me find a particular chart that proves my point. Is this the chart I want to look at? Yeah, that's the chart I want to look at. All right. What we're looking at here, folks, is the stablecoin transaction volume by blockchains. This big blue purple, this is Ethereum. So Ethereum right now accounts for about 47% of all stablecoin transactions take place on Ethereum. But then you have this big red one, and you're wondering, okay, well, what is the competitor to Ethereum here? And it's Tron. And I was really surprised by this, because Tron is the basically the one that is leading in emerging markets, which I found that really fascinating. That Tron is the network that Southeast Asia, that Africa, Eastern Europe, that's what they use. But in the West, and Western Europe and America and Oceania, they're using Ethereum. And so I found that a little bit interesting, that if you want to have a different way to play the stablecoin market, you would buy Ethereum for a vehicle for the US stablecoin market, but then you would buy Tron as a way to express a bullish thesis on the emerging markets, on the emerging market stablecoin space. And so I'm going to do a bit of research on Tron, because I'm interested. You have a look at the chart. Let me share this tab instead. Pull up a chart of Tron. Give me 1 second. It's not bad. It's not a bad looking chart. It's breaking out of this big base. I mean, this one looks a lot better than most. And this one is leading in the emerging market stablecoin sector. So I'm gonna do some research on this one. What's up with Circle? It's such a laggard. Yeah, let me tell you what happened with Circle. The valuation was just ridiculous. When it had this post IPO run up, like when I was trading here, I was writing to my members. I was like, I'm not touching this. Like, I'm not touching this at all. I don't even touch it at the IPO when it came to market and it had its big run up, because even then I thought the valuation was steep. So the valuation got way too steep and now it's just coming back to reality. So I think it's just a simple valuation thing. But it's a great business model, right? They're basically a bank that they earn interest on all their US dollars that they have, but they don't need to pay interest, right? Because when you're staking your stablecoin, or when you're lending it to other people, Circle isn't paying that yield. That yield is coming from somewhere else, and so they're literally just a money collector. So it's a fantastic business model. Any thoughts on Hype? I love Hyperliquid. I think I'm a big fan. Do you think that Sui will catch up to Solana in terms of users? Probably not. My base case is that you're going to have like 1 or 2 winners per respective sector. So there's different sectors of the crypto economy, like you've got networks and DeFi and exchanges. You don't need 20 different payment networks. So you don't need 20 different smart contract networks, right? You've got ETH and Solana for your general purpose. You don't really need anything else. I don't think Sui will probably catch up. Tron is not supported on a lot of platforms. I had to go to Kraken for it. Yeah. That does not surprise me. Some of the shenanigans that the founder, Justin Sun, gets up to, that does not surprise me. This one is definitely more of a sketchy emerging markets play. I want to go back to this dashboard. Let's go back to this dashboard, because I find this really, really interesting that Tron is such a significant portion of this market. So I think there's going to be 3 distinct players that win in the stablecoin market. You've got Ethereum. I think Ethereum will win most of the stablecoin market. I think Tron will win in emerging markets. And I think Solana will win in a select few fintech applications. Those are your 3 winners. But you've also got 2 other ones that have come to the market. You've got this one called Plasma. So the ticker symbol is XPL. It's had a abysmal launch, but that's a network, a new network that's purpose built just for stablecoins. Whereas Ethereum and Solana, they're networks that you can do anything on, but they also happen to process stablecoins. Plasma, on the other hand, is only built for stablecoins, and so that one's trying to be more of a pure play to the stablecoin market. It's had a bit of a disastrous launch, but still. Going to do a bit of work on that. And then Stable is another one. Ticker symbol Stable, Stable. Going to do a bit of work on that. So we'll see what comes of that. Thoughts on XRP? Neil, you're clearly not a regular listener. I think that one's going to 0. That one is... I think that Ripple is becoming more redundant with every year. I think it's one of the big scams that I still can't believe people own in 2025. I think that one's going to 0. All right. What should we talk about? You know what I want to talk about? In light of that question on Ripple, I want to walk through some cryptocurrencies that I think are going to 0. Ripple, that one's going to 0. I don't think that has any place in investors' portfolio. Dogecoin, and as I just scroll through the list of the largest cryptocurrencies in the world, there's so many in this list, just even in the top 50, that I think are just have no place in investors' portfolios. Ripple, Dogecoin, Cardano. Cardano is the 12th largest cryptocurrency, $12.7 billion. $12.7 billion. And nobody uses it. Nobody uses it. I think that one just goes to zero. And this is, guys, this is just my base case for crypto investing in 2026. 99% of these cryptos on this list are zeros. They are worthless. They are speculative junk. Nobody needs them. They don't need a token at all. But the 1%, like the one that I was talking about a little bit earlier with tokenization, some of these networks that are moving stable coins, some of these privacy tokens, I think they have the potential to rewrite finance and technology. And so you just need to dig through this big mountain of turds just to find those gems. But I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in crypto if you know what you're looking for. But man, 99% of these are just absolute junk. You got a great grasp of the crypto industry. Do you use your time only in crypto, or do you also trade stocks? Only crypto. Only crypto. Appreciate the comments. Oracle. What's my thoughts on Oracle? No idea. Not my wheelhouse. I just checked my Coinbase account, which I never look at. I have $400 of something called Render that is no longer traceable on Coinbase. This is what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, Rachel. There's so many cryptocurrencies that have been made, and most of them are just fading into irrelevance. Render. So the Render is this. It's an application, or it could be a network nowadays. I'm not sure what it's switched into. But basically, the whole idea is that it's a place where people basically give each other their computing power, and they use their computing power to render art and video stuff, hence why it's called Render. But it never really took off in a meaningful way. So again, crypto is this whole big experiment, right? And this is why I love it. It's this whole big experiment. Oh, my screen's just turned off. Oh, there we go. We're back. Crypto is this big experiment, right? Where everybody is just launching cryptocurrencies. Everybody is just launching, everybody's launching these random technologies. Anybody, like some random guy and living in his mother's basement in Bulgaria could launch a cryptocurrencies like that, right? The stock market is obviously different. You need to have compliance. You need to have real businesses, employees. You need to file audit reports. So the amount of crap that you see in crypto is obviously going to be a lot higher, right? But you just need to search through. You need to filter through. And that's my job. Every single day I get to my desk, I'm always just asking the question, what's the crap and what's the stuff actually worth owning? And when you find the stuff that's actually worth owning, that's when you get that 10x, those 100x moves that we all know crypto to be familiar with. Thoughts about the DDoS attack on Solana? Solana's always got something going on. This is why I think it's just not really going to be an Ethereum competitor at all. It's always down. It's never really fully decentralized because there's a trade-off, right? There's a trade-off. Solana is a lot faster than Ethereum, right? But there's a trade-off to that because if you're faster, then you lose out on security and decentralization. And so if you're a financial institution and you want to go on Solana, you need to adopt some of that risk. We need to adopt some of the risk where it might be down, might get attacked. I don't care what it does, but it's annoying that I can't do anything with that $400. If Coinbase was a brokerage, they couldn't just do that, could they? Could there be at least someone to call? Is Render still tradable on Coinbase? I mean, one thing that you could do is you could go through the whole rigmarole of trying to send that Render to a decentralized exchange and selling it there and then converting the US dollars back to your exchange. It sounds like a bit of a rigmarole. I know. I really love the screen with the chat on the side. So cool. Thanks, Rachel. Solana has now corrected its downtime issues. Yeah, it's a lot better than it used to be. A lot better than it used to be. I just going back to this whole list of all of these different cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin Cash, 0, Stellar, 0, Litecoin, 0, Shiba, 0, Kronos, 0, Polkadot, probably 0, BitGet 0. Ethereum Classic, absolutely a 0. There's so many zeros here, right? And a really good example of a 0 this week. Let me pull up the chart of this absolute piece of garbage is Axela. So there was something that happened this week, right? It was hilarious, where Circle, so the publicly traded company Circle, they acquired Axela. But in the fine print at the bottom of the note, they said, we only want the team and the intellectual property that the team have developed, but we don't want this cryptocurrency. We don't want the token. So they basically just carved out the brains behind this entire crypto project and have just said, no, this token is absolutely worthless. So the market is actually waking up to the fact that 90% of these things are worthless. There's no real reason to own this. They don't capture value. And you can just see, ever since this announcement, the announcement hit, people bought this token. It was up 70% in a day because they thought, oh my God, we're going to finally, get whole. We're finally going to make money. But then the market read the fine print and this thing just got absolutely crushed. And so, again, you just need to weed through it. And this is a technology right here that is actually used by millions of people. It's actually a big technology. It's a great technology, but the price of the token doesn't reflect that. And so again, you just need to do this whole work. And if you want to understand what is a good investment in crypto, there's 3 criteria that it needs to meet. So I want you to listen to this. I want you to think of cryptocurrencies not as cryptos, not as tokens, but I want you to think about them as roads. So there's 3 questions I want to ask before I invest into a cryptocurrency. 1, is the road actually good? So in other words, is it new? Is it fast? Or is it full of potholes? If you understand that question, then you understand whether the technology is good. So if it's a good road, then you want to ask yourself the second question. And the second question is, are there a lot of people driving on that road or is it empty? So in other words, is there adoption? And here's the third question. This is the third question that most people don't really ask, but it's the most important. So if you identify a really good built road with a lot of people and a lot of adoption, you want to ask yourself the third question. Is there a toll booth set up on that road? So in other words, do people just get a free ride on that highway? Or is there some way for investors in that road to get paid, to get compensated? And something like Axela, it's a really good road. It's got a lot of people driving on it, but they don't have a toll booth set up. The way that they've designed this cryptocurrency means that investors don't actually really get compensated. And this is why it's just trended lower, even though more and more people are actually using this particular technology. The fact that Circle acquired it is just a sign that it is good technology, that there is a good team. But they just haven't found a way to convert the value of that technology into the value of the token. So think about it like 3 ways in the toll road. Axela, that is. The toll road analogy, spot on. So that's how you can isolate yourself from the zeros, and that's how you can find the 1% that is not only going to be used, but is actually going to reward you as an investor. What else is on your mind? I need to get on a plane soon. I'm off back home. I'm off to sunny Hawke's Bay. I literally live deep down, as far down south as you can get in New Zealand. So just for context, I probably live in one of the most southern towns closest to Antarctica in the world. So I'm getting out of here. It's a little bit cold and chilly because we're literally right next to Antarctica. And I'm going back up north, back up to Hawke's Bay, which is where my home is. Because in New Zealand, it's summer here right now, right? So we celebrate Christmas in summer. So we literally go to the beach and get a suntan on. That's how we celebrate our Christmas. So it's a little bit different. So I'm off on a plane in a few hours. So won't let this go on too long. Foundation activity returns, aka structure, volume, and price. It's cold. I mean, mate, we're literally right next to Antarctica. So it's like always overcast. It's always rainy. It's always miserable. But it's actually beautiful. Even though it's a little, the weather's a little bit crap, it's beautiful. You're near some of the most insane spots. Like I'm only about an hour's drive from where they filmed Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. So we go there quite a lot. It's stunning. I love New Zealand so much. So do I, brother. Santa coming in board shorts. Absolutely. I know, Rachel. I'm so white. I'm gonna come to Miami, and I need to bring a few gallons of sunscreen with me. I'm off to Miami in a few weeks, so I'm gonna stand out as this little pasty New Zealander that's just come from Antarctica. Thanks, Neil. Appreciate it. All right, that was fun. I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. Really appreciate everybody for joining. Some fantastic questions in the chat. This is going to be our last Crypto After Dark of the year. Probably in the next 2 weeks, actually, because I'm probably still going to be gallivanting around on the beach. So I wish you all a fantastic end to the year, a restful Christmas and New Year break. And yeah, I wish you guys a fantastic end to the year. But I'll leave it there. Thanks everyone for checking in. Much appreciated. And enjoy your evening. Enjoy your dark. Cheers, guys.